Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be hosting this podcast for the upcoming conference on cleaning validation for the pharma that will be happening in December 2021. We have 7th and 8th of December. We have today a very interesting guest, her Sebastian Scheler. I will refer to you as Sebastian from during our during the next phases of the conversation. Sebastian is a co-founder and the chief methodologist of Innerspace, and Sebastian is also the partner at the conference, presenting very cool solutions on virtual reality. And please, Sebastian, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about the company and the cool stuff that you guys are doing there.
So, Georgie, thank you very much for your kind words. We at Innerspace are very much looking forward to the conference. A few words about myself. My name is Sebastian. I'm the co-founder and chief methodologist at Innerspace, the simulator company. What Innerspace is doing is we are developing high-end simulators for assessment and training purposes within highly critical environments in the pharmaceutical industry, which also includes cleaning, disinfection procedures. And I'm by myself a psychologist and learning expert by education. I'm a member at different interest groups within the ISPE and the PDA. And I'm very much looking forward to talk to you within this video podcast.
Thank you very much. Look, there are a couple of very, very interesting questions. And I believe that there will be a little bit of a demonstration, of a demo ahead of us. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. Thanks once again, Sebastian, for finding time. Now, let me start with what does the science say about the simulator trainings in other industries, and what we can learn from the from them. I mean, for what we can learn from the other industries for the pharmaceutical area.
So maybe before I'm going to talk about science, a quick story. So recently I talked to a jet pilot, a fighter jet pilot.
Okay.
And I was talking to her, asking her what is the main problem or the main challenge by really getting into a good mood, into a good shape in order to fly this fighter jets. And what she said basically is one of her biggest obstacles is being overconfident. So not having the full capacity in order to really understand where do I make mistakes, for example, what do I have to train in order to improve myself, etc. So what she says is that training within fighter jet pilots is very important in order to get feedback, in order to train in an environment which is risk-free and which allows you to make mistakes without having any consequences. So what I want to say here is that within other industries, so astronauts, pilots, for example, they are used to use simulators very good. So this is quite normal in these industries to use simulators because they all know by using simulators, you can have this risk-free environment and at the same time have a realistic experience in order really to train all the mission-critical behavior you need in order to master the real key moments within, for example, within sitting in the plane or in the jet. So within Innerspace, what we took is the idea of the simulator and really apply this idea to the pharmaceutical world. So what we can do within our simulators are basically two things. First is we are able to assess individual weaknesses within an operator, for example. So really detect where his individual strengths is, where individual weaknesses are in order to help him to improve on an individual level. So this is the first thing. And the second thing is to train effectively without having any risk for production. So normally within pharmaceutical environments, you do have the problem that you need to have several trainings on the job in order to improve your skills, in order to get prepared for the clean room, for example. And what is normally difficult is really to get those experiences without being in the critical environment. So basically, a simulator is an instrument which allows you to believe that you are in a realistic environment where you can train your skills without being there actually. And that's, I think, something what other industries already do, and what we want to apply within the pharmaceutical world.
Sebastian, if I would translate it to how I understood that, basically you learn and you're able to make mistakes, but you don't necessarily pay for those mistakes. Is that what you're saying, right?
You know, from a science point of view, from a psychological point of view, there is no way for effective learning without making your own mistakes. You know, Georgie, it's cool when I know from you, for example, what you as an operator have experienced in the clean room, and maybe I can learn from your experience to a certain degree. But it is no comparison when I really make my experiences by my own. So when I talk to production heads, for example, what they basically say is, Sebastian, the dream world would be that all of my operators have experienced the 10 most critical worst case scenarios, have failed within them, but not within within my production area. So what they want to have are experienced operators which have done certain mistakes, have learned out of them, but not within the critical environment where mistakes are in some cases linked with contaminations, patient risks, etc. So, Georgie, yes, correct understanding in my point.
It's look, it's a very cool thing to have, no, for any industry, and definitely within the pharma, because experience is something what we call our time spent and all the mistakes that we've made. And you know, when you have the possibility to hack the system and get your stuff experienced without having actually to pay for those mistakes, right? Yeah, definitely, it's a very beneficial to the party involved. True so. And to be honest with you, I'm very happy that you are joining the conference. I do believe it's going to be a great deal of help for all the participants involved. If you don't mind, I would still like to ask you something about more tailored for the topic of our conference.
Yes.
Because when we're speaking about the virtual reality, I mean, we know what are the advantages of VR, right? We just spoke about them. But when it comes to cleaning processes itself, what are the advantages of VR in particularly that area? And do we need, I mean, we know that we need to use those technologies for training. We just said why, but can you tell us why do we need to use it in the cleaning process? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so basically speaking, virtual reality can simulate two things. So the first is that it's able to replicate reality. You know, that you, for example, have a realistic scenario of a filling line or clean room environment, what you have to clean. Okay, so that's the one part what we already talked about. But the second more important part is that virtual reality is able to make the invisible visible. So when it comes down to cleaning and disinfection, what you are cleaning is normally invisible. You want to make sure that there are no particles, germs, so that you want to make sure that everything really works in terms of the cleaning process and in terms of the degree of cleanness. And what virtual reality can do is help you by giving you additional feedback, by giving you visual help, that you are able to understand what you have to clean, in which way you have to clean, and immediately see the consequences of your behavior. So I have prepared a video, maybe if you don't mind that we just put it
Yes.
in and I just
Yes,
comment it.
yes, that would be great because I'm just imagining all that stuff. So if you can show this to us, it would be great. So Sebastian, please do demonstrate. Okay.
So what you can see here is a virtual reality training unit on cleaning and disinfection. This is a very basic unit on cleaning horizontal surfaces, but I just want to show you the advantages of virtual reality for this specific topic you asked me. So what you can see here is in surface what you have to clean, and what you can see are different feedback mechanisms or features which help you to understand what you have to do and how you have to do it. So normally all those kind of feedbacks, for example, that you see the germs, for example, that you see the different kind of wiping lanes, for example, that you have to see the direction you have to wipe. Normally, this is something what you wouldn't see in normal life.
Mm-hmm.
So what really is important here, talking about this, is that you are able by using virtual reality not only to enhance the behavior of an operator, but also enhance the mindset, the understanding of an operator. So just for making this clear, all what the virtual hand is doing is the trainee doing by himself. So the behavior is one-to-one mimicked by the system. So he is cleaning the horizontal surface in exactly the same behavior as you can see it here. And what he really gets here is different feedback mechanisms about what he have to focus on and how he's going to do it. You know? So I think this is the biggest advantage by using virtual reality. Getting feedback and having something data-based in order to understand how good, how skilled an operator is. So for example, here you can see that you have to do a little bit more difficult exercise where you have to make sure that you really apply all what you have experienced beforehand, and so on and so on. So of course there are many different modules available on this topic, and it's all about really getting someone from absolute zero to a quite well understanding and behavior in terms of cleaning and disinfection principles.
This is made so easy. Really, this the training, it's very impressive. Definitely very impressive, and I will be very happy when we'll be sharing this this podcast. Definitely, a lot of people will find it very interesting and beneficial. Look, Sebastian, let me ask you something. What we just saw, and whenever we're, let's say, training stuff like that, right? It also can be used to have some sort of KPIs to monitor the progress of the people, right?
Absolutely.
Because you said that it's stored in the database, who did what. So
yeah, absolutely. So basically, virtual reality is a immersive system which tracks. So it is an immersive system which generates data on behavior. And because of that, you can get within analytics features, for example, a quite good overview on what people are able to apply and where they have room for improvement. And for example, when you do have, for example, a group of operators, what you normally want to have as a company is some kind of standard, so that you're sure that people are able to apply a certain degree of correct behavior with a high reliability and with a high certainty in terms of security. So what the system basically does is giving you not also the training, but also exam modes where the people have to go through certain kind of difficulties, certain time of tasks, in order to demonstrate if they are really ready for the clean room, for example, and the system is able to track and to monitor all this kind of behavior status and the behavior progress. And that's, I think, when you ask for KPIs, I think you get a quite good overview and a quite good understanding of the maturity level your operators have in terms of behavior.
And Sebastian, when we're speaking about the standards here, just for me to be on the same page, do you get and integrate this, let's say you get that information from your client and integrate it in your system, and that system already monitors if the operator is working according to the standards, or is there any let's say general standards that you apply and then you modify? So basically it can be modified from company to company, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, basically we always have to differentiate between standard applications and customized applications. So talking about standards, normally we do really focus on references to the latest regulatory guidelines and the latest kind of expert views on this topic. So normally within standard simulators, you do have a whole variety of things which have proved to be very good or very applicable in terms of cleaning and disinfection. But at the same time, Georgie, what you already mentioned is, of course, customers do have very different needs. So for example, some customers do have very individualized environments where you have to clean certain surfaces or certain areas in a specific way. And I think the beauty of using a simulator like a flight simulator is possible to really adapt some components to the requirements of customers. So for example, the 3D environment, for example, certain specific processes operators have to follow, but also, for example, certain rules. So of course, the simulator always has the ambition to mimic the site-specific requirements of a company in order to help people to get used to the environment as fast and as secure as possible.
It's a very good thing that it's not one size fits all, right? This is very good.
Absolutely,
look,
because it is not one size fits all. You know,
it is not one size fits all, right? This is the question immediately I had in my head, because when I see that you're having this, you know, when you see that you have the KPI system, you know, it differs from company to company, and I just wanted to know, you know, how you know, it can be integrated, the company standards, the corporate standards of one specific client to the solution that you provide. But look, some cleaning processes are extremely complex, right? You have to agree with me here. And how can a principle-based approach in virtual reality have, you know, assist and help to avoid the human errors? Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about human errors beforehand, what we basically do is to always do a human error analysis. So we have developed an approach where we systematically analyze human errors, classify them, and really look into the psychological root causes. So why are they happening? Mm-hmm. And what basically comes out using the human error analysis, that there are two kinds of human errors. So of course, some kind of human errors are linked to a specific process. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the majority of human errors is linked to a violation of certain behavior principles. So for example, overlapping wiping technique, laminar wiping technique, folding wiping in a certain way, etc., etc. So some principles which are related to microbiological, to the microbiology world, where you have to use certain kind of disinfectants in a certain way, etc. So what human error analysis basically says is that so many human errors are linked to principles that it really makes sense to train them and to have a focus on them, especially when you are in virtual reality. So when you talk about complex cleaning procedures, then you have to think about those two layers. The first is that normally you have to focus always on certain behavior principles throughout the whole process. And when you have then in mind, when you are really having a behavior routine about those principles, then a specific process, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is much easier for you to apply because you have really a good foundation, a basis where all the steps really make more sense and where you are able from your mind, from your consciousness to concentrate on those processes because you have not concentrate on the principles anymore because they are already routine, you know? So that's the reason when we talk about complex processes from a psychological point of view, that principles are always a very good and very helpful basis in order to understand and to apply complex processes better, faster, and with a reduced likelihood of human errors.
I have a question. I have a lot of questions, but I know it's a short podcast, so I'll just ask how the industry has been adopting it so far. I mean, what is the pace? I believe that this is not at a scale yet, right?
Yeah.
The scale is yet to come. But can you tell me a little bit about the current feedbacks from the industry that you have, or how it's working in practice?
Yeah. So I think what is completely right that virtual reality for training and assessment by using a simulator is not a mass adoption to this moment. So talking about Innerspace, we have different customers. We do have many simulator stations from US to Europe to Asia to Japan. So there are customers. I'm not able to talk about them in depth, but their customers are really using them from 3 different continents. But what I can say is that almost every expert within the pharmaceutical industry quite intuitively understands that simulators are basically a much more valuable approach in order to train people in a reliable and effective way. And what also is coming up, that the new requirements, for example, the new Annex 1, which will be published in the next months or 1-2 years, what the new requirements are basically asking for is to really objectify and really make the whole process of contamination control on personal training, etc., more reliable, more more objective, more data-based, etc. And what I think what the industry expert says is that virtual reality does have so many advantages in this regard in comparison to other learning approaches that for me, but also for many others, it's not the question if it happens, but when it will.
When it happens. That's what I wanted to ask. When do you see this going at a large scale?
I think I do have a lot of respect on the pharmaceutical world because the longer I'm in here, the longer I'm in here, I really have respect for the high requirements and the difficulties within site-specific processes, etc. So when you ask me when we are going to have a breakthrough, I think it will be really a breakthrough when the simulators are at a stage where also the health authorities and the regulators really give their positive feedback and say, okay, a certain amount of training, of GMP relevant training things can be handled within the system well and in scope. And talking about Innerspace, what we basically do within our product roadmap, solution roadmap, is to really get all the information of the regulations, but also from our customers, and really make sure that the system has not also the functionalities, but also the content in order to really cover a high amount and big scale of relevant training and assessment content. And hopefully when this really is at a stage where companies are rolling out the simulator, use them regularly, etc. I think it is not far away that simulators will be the industry standard for training in my point of view.
Yeah, Definitely, I see that coming as well.
Yeah.
Definitely, I mean, from my humble opinion. From my humble opinion.
You know, when we talk to operators, George, you know, just let's talk quickly about operators. You know, they
Please.
have a a weird and difficult job. They really have to take care of
We
so
will
many
edit
things.
that. We'll edit that F word, or
Yeah.
I can leave it if you like.
So they have such a difficult tasks to do, and they have to take care so much on really avoiding human errors and really make sure that no contamination will come in and no drug and medicine is contaminated by their behavior. So what the operators say, and we have trained nearly 10,000 operators to this point. What they really say is, thank you so much, because now I have a tool where I can get a secure feeling and where I can feel good by really operating in this difficult environment. And I think this feedback, really, this for me, it's the most important feedback, that the people we are for which we are doing this, the people say it's helping me so much in order to fulfill the requirements my company really gives me, and what I have to take care of in the clean room environment. So,
Sebastian, look, from my personal, as I said, comment, you are assisting in saving human lives, because God forbid when it can be any drug or anything is not it's contaminated, then we're talking about the human lives, we're talking about someone's family members, we're talking about something that cannot be measured by money. So it's very difficult to underestimate what you guys are doing. I mean, on a personal level, I'm very happy that you're doing that stuff, and it just gives all of us much more confidence in, especially in today's world, to that life sciences sector, to that pharmaceutical sector, and to have the chance and the privilege to see how these things are done behind the scenes. This is simply great. So again, I usually don't praise people and companies during those podcasts, but really, guys, you're doing something great, something amazing, and I'm very proud that you're joining the conference. You're a startup company still, right? I mean, you're a relatively young company.
Yes,
How cool is that? How cool is
and
that?
it's so cool. So
Yeah, it is.
thank you, Georgie.
You're really part of something great. I really, really, really hope a very successful. This would be a very successful conference for you, and we will do our part in promoting this. What you brilliant minds of Innerspace are bringing to this world. So thank you very much, Sebastian. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Georgie.
best of luck to you.
Thank you.
See you at the conference.